counselors as they support children through their developmental processes. This understanding contributes to your knowledge base as you prepare for the CPC exam and explore concepts in psychology. Let's explore the concept of conservation, which is a fundamental idea in developmental psychology, specifically in relation to how children understand quantity and physical properties. Conservation refers to the understanding that certain properties of objects remain the same even when their form or appearance changes. This concept is particularly significant in the context of Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Here's a breakdown of key concepts, important details, and examples to help you understand it clearly. Key concepts. 1. Definition of conservation. Conservation. This is the understanding that certain physical properties remain constant, even when the shape or arrangement of an object changes. Conservation is crucial for logical thinking and reasoning as children develop. 2. Developmental context. Children typically develop the understanding of conservation during the concrete operational stage of Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Before this stage, children struggle with conservation and often make errors in judgment about quantities and properties. Important details. 1. Types of conservation. Conservation of weight. This refers to understanding that the weight of an object remains the same even when its shape changes. For instance, if you flatten a clay ball into a pancake shape, a child who understands conservation will realize that the weight does not change. Conservation of mass. Similar to weight, conservation of mass means that the amount of matter in an object stays the same regardless of how it is shaped. If you break a cookie into smaller pieces, the total amount of the cookie is still the same. Conservation of volume. This involves understanding that the volume of liquid remains the same, even if it is poured into a different container. Whether the liquid is in a tall, narrow glass or a short, wide glass, the volume remains unchanged. 2. Piaget's conservation tasks. Piaget used specific tasks to test children's understanding of conservation. For example, he would present two identical glasses filled with the same amount of water and then pour one glass into a taller, narrower glass. Young children, before mastering conservation, often believe that the taller glass contains more water because they focus only on height, disregarding width. 3. Significance of conservation. Mastering the concept of conservation is crucial for children as it helps them develop logical reasoning and critical thinking skills. It allows them to understand that changes in appearance do not necessarily indicate changes in quantity or amount. Examples illustrating conservation. 1. Example of conservation of volume. Scenario. Imagine two equal-sized cups filled with juice. When you pour the juice from one cup into a taller, narrower cup, a child who hasn't yet learned about conservation might think the taller cup now contains more juice, even though both cups originally held the same amount. Understanding. A child who understands conservation realizes that the amount of juice remains the same regardless of the cup's shape. 2. Example of conservation of mass. Scenario. If you take a ball of Play-Doh and flatten it into a disc, a young child might think that there's less Play-Doh because it looks different. Understanding. An older child who grasps conservation will know that the amount of Play-Doh has not changed. It is just shaped differently. 3. Example of conservation of weight. Scenario. If you have a 1-pound ball of clay and you reshape it into a different form, like a cube, a child who understands conservation of weight will recognize that it still weighs 1 pound, regardless of its shape. Understanding. A younger child might think that the heavier-looking shape must weigh more, illustrating their lack of understanding of weight conservation. Conclusion. Conservation is a critical concept in cognitive development that reflects a child's understanding that certain physical properties, such as weight, mass, and volume, remain constant despite changes in shape or form. Children typically grasp conservation during the concrete operational stage of development, which helps them develop logical thinking and problem-solving skills. Recognizing the different types of conservation and how they manifest can support better educational practices and parenting strategies. This understanding will also help you as you prepare for the CPC exam and explore developmental concepts in psychology. Conservation. Let's explore the concept of conservation, focusing on weight, mass, and volume, which are key ideas in cognitive development, especially in children. Understanding conservation is essential for grasping how children learn to understand the properties of objects and their quantities as they grow. Here's a breakdown of key concepts, important details, and examples to help clarify this topic. Key concepts. 1. Definition of conservation. Conservation. This is the understanding that certain physical properties of objects remain the same even when their shape or arrangement changes. This concept is crucial in helping children develop logical thinking and reasoning skills. 2. Developmental context. Children typically learn about conservation during the concrete operational stage of cognitive development, which occurs approximately between the ages of 7 and 11 years. Before this stage, during the pre-operational stage, children often struggle to comprehend conservation. Important details. 1. Types of conservation. Conservation of weight. This refers to the understanding that the weight of an object remains constant even when its shape changes. For example, when you flatten a ball of clay, the weight do not change. It stays the same even though the shape looks different. Conservation of mass. This means that the amount of matter in an object stays the same, regardless of how it is shaped or divided. For instance, if you break a cookie into pieces, the total mass of the cookie remains the same even if the pieces look different. Conservation of volume. This involves understanding that the volume of a substance remains unchanged when poured into a different container. For example, transferring liquid from a short, wide glass to a tall, narrow glass does not change the volume of the liquid. 2. Piaget's conservation tasks. Jean Piaget designed specific tasks to test children's understanding of conservation. For instance, he might show children 2 identical containers filled with the same amount of liquid. Then he would pour one container into a taller, narrower container. Children who have not yet mastered conservation might say that the taller container has more liquid, focusing only on the height and ignoring the width. 3. Significance of conservation. Mastering conservation is critical for children as it helps them develop logical reasoning and understanding of the world around them. It lays the foundation for more complex mathematical concepts and scientific reasoning. Examples illustrating conservation. 1. Example of conservation of volume. Scenario. Imagine 2 glasses that initially contain the same amount of water. If you pour water from one glass into a taller, narrower glass, a young child might think that the taller glass holds more water because it appears taller. Conservation understanding. A child who understands conservation will realize that the amount of water is still the same, despite the change in the shape of the container. 2. Example of conservation of mass. Scenario. Taking a ball of Play-Doh and rolling it into a flat pancake shape might lead a young child to believe that they now have less Play-Doh because it looks different and is spread out. Conservation understanding. An older child who understands conservation will know that the total amount of Play-Doh remains unchanged, even though it is shaped differently. 3. Example of conservation of weight. Scenario. If you have a 1-pound bag of flour and you divide it into 2 smaller bags, a child who has not yet grasped conservation may think that there is less flour in each new bag compared to the whole bag. Conservation understanding. A child who understands conservation will recognize that the total weight remains the same regardless of how it is divided. Conclusion. Conservation is a vital concept in cognitive development, reflecting a child's understanding that physical properties like weight, mass, and volume stay constant despite changes in shape or arrangement. This understanding typically emerges during the concrete operational stage of development and is essential for developing logical thinking and problem-solving skills. Recognizing and teaching conservation can help children build a stronger foundation for future learning in mathematics and science. Understanding this concept is also valuable for your preparation for the CPC exam as you explore various developmental concepts in psychology. Reversibility. Let's delve into the concept of reversibility, which is an important idea in cognitive development, particularly in understanding how children think and reason about the world. Reversibility refers to the ability to understand that some actions can be reversed, and this understanding is crucial for problem solving and logical thinking. Here's a breakdown of key concepts, important details, and examples to make this topic clearer. Key concepts. 1. Definition of reversibility. Reversibility. This is the understanding that certain processes or actions can be undone or reversed to return to the original state. It is an essential cognitive skill that allows individuals to recognize that changes made to an object or situation can be reversed. 2. Developmental context. Reversibility is primarily understood during Piaget's concrete operational stage of cognitive development. Children in this stage begin to grasp concepts that involve logical thinking, including reversibility. Important details. 1. Importance of reversibility. Mastering the concept of reversibility is critical for children as it plays a key role in developing their problem-solving skills and understanding of physical processes. It allows children to think through a sequence of events and to understand cause and effect relationships. 2. Relation to other concepts. Reversibility is closely linked to other concepts in Piaget's theory, such as conservation. For example, if a child understands that pouring water from one glass to another can be reversed, they are also likely to comprehend conservation. 3. Everyday applications. The ability to think reversibly helps with everyday tasks, such as arithmetic and physical tasks. Examples illustrating reversibility. 1. Example with water. Scenario. Imagine you have a glass of water and you pour it into a taller, narrower glass. A child who has not yet mastered reversibility may think that the amount of water has changed because the shape looks different. Understanding reversibility. A child who understands reversibility will recognize that you can pour the water back into the original glass, returning it to its previous state, which helps them realize the amount has not changed. 2. Example with clay. Scenario. If you take a ball of clay and flatten it into a pancake shape, a younger child might think there is less clay because it looks different. Understanding reversibility. An older child who understands reversibility will know that you can reshape the pancake back into a ball, demonstrating that the shape can be reversed and the amount remains the same. 3. Example in math. Scenario. In arithmetic, if a child adds 3 plus 2 to get 5, understanding reversibility means they also recognize that if you remove 2 from 5, you go back to 3. This illustrates the concept that addition and subtraction are opposite operations. Understanding reversibility. Recognizing this relationship helps children solve problems more effectively, as they can approach equations from different angles. Conclusion. Reversibility is a fundamental cognitive concept that reflects a child's ability to understand that certain actions or processes can be undone, returning to the original state. This ability is crucial for developing logical reasoning, problem-solving skills, and a deeper understanding of relationships between actions and their consequences. Children typically grasp reversibility during the concrete operational stage of cognitive development, enhancing their learning processes. Understanding this concept is also beneficial as you prepare for the CPC exam and explore various aspects of cognitive development in psychology. Symbolic schema. Let's break down the concept of symbolic schema, an important idea in cognitive development that helps us understand how children think and learn. A symbolic schema is a mental framework that allows individuals, particularly children, to use symbols like words, images, or objects to represent and understand things in the world around them. Here's a clear explanation of the key concepts, important details, and examples related to this topic. Key concepts. 1. Definition of symbolic schema. Symbolic schema. This is a mental model or framework that allows people to use symbols to stand for or represent real-life things, ideas, or events. For example, a child might use a toy car to represent a real car when they are playing. 2. Cognitive development context. The idea of symbolic schema comes from Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Piaget suggested that as children grow up, they develop different ways of thinking, and symbolic thinking develops prominently during the pre-operational stage of development, which occurs from about 2 to 7 years of age. Important details. 1. Characteristics of symbolic schemas. Use of symbols. A symbolic schema enables children to think about things that are not present. For instance, when a child talks about a pet that is not in the room or uses a block to represent a house, they're using symbols to convey meaning. Imaginative play. Children often engage in imaginative or pretend play, where they use symbols to create scenarios. For example, a child might pretend that a stick is a magic wand or that a cardboard box is a spaceship. This kind of play reflects their ability to use symbolic thinking. 2. Language development. As children develop their symbolic schemas, they also acquire language skills. Words act as symbols that represent objects, actions, or feelings. For example, the word apple symbolizes the fruit itself. This connection between symbols and meanings enhances their ability to communicate and express ideas. 3. Understanding the world. Symbolic schemas help children organize their experiences and make sense of the world. When they encounter new information, they can relate it to what they already know through their existing schemas. This helps them categorize and understand the information more effectively. Examples illustrating symbolic schema. 1. Example of pretend play. Scenario. Imagine a group of children playing store. One child pretends to be the cashier, while another pretends to buy food with play money. The cash register might be a box, and the food could be plastic items or even fruits and vegetables. Understanding symbolic schema. In this play scenario, the children use symbols to represent real-life activities of buying and selling. They understand that these symbols stand for actual things and actions in the real world. 2. Example with language. Scenario. A child learns the word dog and uses it to refer not only to their pet at home, but also to any dog they see on the street or in books. Understanding symbolic schema. The child has developed a symbolic schema where the word dog represents the concept of dogs in general, allowing them to communicate their experiences and observations effectively. 3. Example in art. Scenario. A child draws a picture of their family. Instead of drawing everyone perfectly, they might use stick figures to represent family members and draw a sun to represent happiness or love. Understanding symbolic schema. Here, the child uses symbols to convey ideas and feelings about their family, illustrating how they interpret relationships and emotions through visual representation. Conclusion. In summary, a symbolic schema is a vital concept in understanding cognitive development. It involves using symbols to represent real-life objects, ideas, and experiences, enhancing communication and understanding. As children engage in imaginative play and develop language skills, they build these schemas, allowing them to represent their world in increasingly complex ways. Understanding symbolic schemas is important as you prepare for the CPC exam, as it sheds light on how children learn, think, and develop their cognitive abilities. Let's explore the concept of abstract thinking, which is an important cognitive skill that develops as people grow and learn. Abstract thinking refers to the ability to think about concepts that are not physically present and to understand ideas that go beyond concrete experiences. Here's a detailed explanation with key concepts, important details, and examples to help clarify this topic. Key concepts. 1. Definition of abstract thinking. Abstract thinking. This is the mental process of thinking about concepts, ideas, or situations that are not tied to specific objects or experiences. It involves understanding complex ideas, making connections between seemingly unrelated concepts, and using logic to solve problems. 2. Developmental context. Abstract thinking typically develops during the formal operational stage of Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development, which starts around age 11 and continues into adulthood. This stage is characterized by the ability to think logically about abstract concepts and hypothetical situations. Important details. 1. Characteristics of abstract thinking. Conceptualization. Abstract thinkers can understand and manipulate ideas rather than being limited to what they can see or physically interact with. For instance, they can grasp concepts like justice, love, and freedom, which are not tangible. Problem solving. Abstract thinking allows individuals to solve problems that do not have straightforward, concrete solutions. This includes mathematical problems, philosophical questions, and scientific theories. Hypothetical reasoning. People who think abstractly can consider what-if scenarios and think critically about potential outcomes. They can imagine different possibilities and understand their implications. 2. Importance of abstract thinking. Abstract thinking is essential for higher-level reasoning and creativity. It enables individuals to innovate, strategize, and think critically in various fields such as science, mathematics, philosophy, and art. 3. Relation to concrete thinking. In contrast to abstract thinking, Concrete thinking involves processing information based on what is visible or directly experienced. Young children, who primarily think concretely, may struggle with abstract concepts until they develop more advanced cognitive abilities. Examples illustrating abstract thinking. 1. Example in mathematics. Scenario: a student is learning algebra. They understand that a variable, such as XXX, can represent any number, not just a specific one. They can manipulate equations like 2x plus 3 equals 112x plus 3 equals 112 times plus 3 is equal to 11 to find the value of XXX. Understanding abstract thinking. This ability to work with variables instead of just individual numbers reflects abstract thinking. The student is thinking about general concepts and relationships rather than concrete numbers. 2. Example in philosophy. Scenario: a student engages in a discussion about the concept of justice. They explore different definitions and ideas about what constitutes a just action or society. Understanding abstract thinking. This involves abstract thinking because the student is contemplating an idea that does not have a definitive, concrete form. They must analyze various viewpoints and theories to understand justice. 3. Example in creative problem solving. Scenario: an artist is creating a painting that represents emotions rather than depicting specific objects. They use colors, shapes, and forms to convey feelings like joy or sadness. Understanding abstract thinking. The artist's ability to express complex emotions through non-representational art is a form of abstract thinking, as they are moving beyond literal representation to explore deeper concepts and ideas. Conclusion. In summary, abstract thinking is a critical cognitive skill that allows individuals to understand and manipulate concepts that are not directly observable. It develops during the formal operational stage of cognitive development and is essential for higher-level reasoning, creativity, and problem-solving. Understanding abstract thinking enables you to appreciate the complexities of human thought and reasoning, which is beneficial as you prepare for the CPC exam and explore various cognitive concepts in psychology. Assimilation, accommodation, equilibration. Let's explore the concepts of assimilation, accommodation, and equilibration, which are key components of Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development. These concepts describe how we learn and adapt our understanding of the world as we grow. Here's a breakdown of each term, their importance, and examples to make them easy to understand. Key concepts. 1. Assimilation. Definition. Assimilation is the process of integrating new information into existing schemas. When we encounter something new, we fit it into what we already know without changing our understanding. Example: if a child knows that a dog is a four-legged animal with fur, and then they see a cat for the first time, they might call a dog because they're using their existing schema for four-legged animals to understand the new information. 2. Accommodation. Definition. Accommodation is the process of modifying our existing schemas or creating new ones to incorporate new information that does not fit into our current understanding. This process helps us adapt our thinking to new experiences. Example. Continuing with the previous example, after learning that a cat is different from a dog, the child updates their schema. They may learn to recognize the unique features of a cat and create a new category in their mind specifically for cats. 3. Equilibration. Definition. Equilibration is the balance between assimilation and accommodation. It is the process by which we achieve a stable understanding after adjusting our schemas based on new experiences. Equilibration leads to cognitive development as we progressively build a more sophisticated understanding of the world. Example. After learning about both dogs and cats, the child achieves equilibration by now being able to distinguish between the two animals and understand that both are pets but belong to different categories due to their unique characteristics. Important details. 1. Cognitive development stages. These processes work together throughout the different stages of cognitive development described by Piaget: the sensoromotor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational stages. Each stage involves learning new concepts and adjusting schemas. 2. Dynamic process. Assimilation, accommodation, and equilibration are dynamic and ongoing. As we encounter new information and experiences throughout life, we continuously assimilate and accommodate, leading to further equilibration. 3. Real-life applications. Understanding how these processes work can help educators and parents foster learning by providing experiences that encourage both assimilation and accommodation. For instance, teaching a child about new animals using familiar concepts can help support their learning. Examples illustrating the concepts. 1. Example of assimilation. Scenario: a child learns about birds and understands that they have feathers and can fly. When they see a bat, they might mistakenly classify it as a bird based on the similarity of wings. Explanation: the child is using assimilation by fitting the bat into their existing schema for birds, even though it is not actually a bird. 2. Example of accommodation. Scenario: when the child learns that a bat is actually a mammal and not a bird, they need to adjust their thinking and create a new category for bats. Explanation: this process of updating their understanding represents accommodation, as the child modifies their existing schema to correctly classify the bat. 3. Example of equilibration. Scenario: after learning about the differences between birds and bats, the child can now accurately identify both types of animals when they see them in the future. Explanation: the child has achieved equilibration by balancing their new understanding of birds and bats, allowing them to navigate their environment with a more sophisticated understanding of animal classification. Conclusion. In summary, assimilation, accommodation, and equilibration are essential processes in cognitive development that explain how we learn and adapt our understanding of the world. Assimilation involves fitting new information into existing schemas. Accommodation involves changing those schemas to incorporate new information, and equilibration is the process of achieving a balance between the two. These concepts play a significant role in how we learn throughout our lives, making them crucial to understand as you prepare for the CPC exam. Ideographic approach. Let's explore the ideographic approach, which is a research methodology used in psychology and social sciences. This approach focuses on understanding the unique aspects of individual cases rather than seeking general laws or patterns that apply to larger groups. Here's a breakdown of the key concepts, important details, and examples to help you grasp this topic clearly. Key concepts. 1. Definition of the ideographic approach. Ideographic approach. This is a method of study that emphasizes the detailed and in-depth analysis of individual cases or events. It contrasts with the nomothetic approach, which focuses on generalizing findings across larger populations to establish broad laws. 2. Focus on individual differences. The ideographic approach aims to understand the specific qualities, experiences, and contexts of individuals. It values the complexity and uniqueness of each person, recognizing that everyone's experiences are different. Important details. 1. Methods used. The ideographic approach often employs qualitative methods, such as case studies, interviews, and narratives to gather rich, detailed information about individuals. These methods help researchers explore personal perspectives, motivations, and experiences in depth. 2. Applications in psychology. This approach is commonly used in clinical psychology, where understanding the individual patient's history, thoughts, and emotions is crucial for effective treatment. It allows therapists to tailor their approaches based on an individual's unique circumstances. 3. Strengths and limitations. Strengths. The ideographic approach provides deep insights into individual behavior and experiences, helping to capture the complexity of human life. It can reveal details that might be overlooked in larger studies. Limitations. Because it focuses on individual cases, findings may not be easily generalized to broader populations. This can limit the external validity of the research. Examples illustrating the ideographic approach. 1. Example in clinical psychology. Scenario: a therapist conducts a detailed case study of a patient with anxiety. They gather information about the patient's background, family history, and specific experiences related to their anxiety. Understanding the ideographic approach. By focusing on this individual's unique circumstances and history, the therapist can develop a personalized treatment plan that addresses the patient's specific needs rather than applying a one-size-fits-all solution. 2. Example in education. Scenario: A teacher uses the ideographic approach to understand the learning styles of individual students by conducting interviews and observing their classroom behaviors. Understanding the ideographic approach. The teacher can gather detailed insights into each student's learning preferences and tailor instructional methods to suit their unique ways of understanding and absorbing information, resulting in more effective teaching. 3. Example and personality research. Scenario. A researcher conducts in-depth interviews with a small group of unique individuals to explore their personal narratives and how they perceive their identities and life experiences. Understanding the ideographic approach. This can uncover rich qualitative data that reflects the diverse ways people construct their identities, emphasizing the subjective nature of experience rather than trying to quantify personality traits across a large group. Conclusion. In summary, the ideographic approach focuses on understanding the unique aspects of individual cases through detailed analysis and qualitative methods. It is particularly valuable in psychology, education, and other fields where recognizing individual differences is crucial. By appreciating the depth and complexity of personal experiences, the ideographic approach provides insights that might be missed in broader research methods. This understanding is important as you prepare for the CPC exam and consider various methodologies in psychology. Moral development theories. 3 levels: pre-conventional, conventional, post-conventional. Let's explore the 3 levels of moral development proposed by psychologist Lawrence Kohlberg. These levels describe how people's understanding of morality evolves as they grow and how they make decisions about right and wrong. The 3 levels are pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. Here's a clear explanation of each level, key concepts, important details, and examples to illustrate the topic. Key concepts. 1. Moral development. Kohlberg's theory suggests that moral reasoning develops in stages and that individuals progress through these stages as they mature. Each level has 2 stages, making a total of 6 stages of moral development. 2. 3 levels. Pre-conventional level. This is the first level of moral development, where individuals make decisions based on personal consequences. They focus on avoiding punishment and gaining rewards. Conventional level. At this level, individuals look to societal norms and rules to guide their decision-making. They adhere to laws and social expectations to gain approval from others. Post-conventional level. The highest level of moral reasoning involves understanding universal ethical principles. Individuals at this level recognize that morality can transcend laws and that personal beliefs about justice and rights may guide their actions. Detailed breakdown of each level. 1. Pre-conventional level. Characteristics. Decision-making is based on direct consequences. Morality is shaped by the outcome of actions. Example. A child might not steal a cookie because they fear being punished by their parent. The focus is on avoiding negative consequences rather than understanding why stealing is wrong. Example. A child might help a classmate because they want to receive praise or a reward for being helpful. They see morality in terms of exchanges for direct personal gain. 2. Conventional level. Characteristics. Individuals begin to consider the expectations of society and the importance of maintaining social order. Morality is defined by conformity to rules and laws. Example. A teenager might decide not to cheat on a test because they want to maintain a good reputation among peers and be seen as a good person. Here, the focus is on gaining the approval and acceptance of others. Example. An adult may follow laws and regulations because they believe it is necessary for society to function properly. For instance, they may not speed while driving because they respect traffic laws and understand that laws are in place for everyone's safety. 3. Post-conventional level. Characteristics. Individuals develop their own set of ethical principles that might differ from societal norms. They understand that laws are not always just and may take a stand for what they believe is right, even if it conflicts with the law. This level requires abstraction and critical thinking about ethics. Example. An individual might advocate for social change, like protesting against laws they believe are unjust. They recognize that individual rights and societal welfare should be prioritized over strict adherence to laws. Example: someone at this stage might refuse to participate in an unjust war, believing that peace and human rights are fundamental ethical principles. They may choose to act according to their conscience, even if it means facing legal consequences. Conclusion. In summary, Kohlberg's 3 levels of moral development, pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional, describe how people's moral reasoning changes as they age. The pre-conventional level focuses on personal consequences, the conventional level emphasizes societal norms, and the post-conventional level is where individuals adopt their own ethical principles that may challenge societal expectations. Understanding these levels is important for recognizing how moral reasoning develops and can help in discussions about ethics and psychology, especially as you prepare for the CPC exam. 6 stages. Let's explore the 6 stages of moral development as proposed by Lawrence Kohlberg. These stages are part of his broader theory that describes how people develop their understanding of right and wrong over time. The stages are grouped into 3 levels: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. Each level contains 2 stages, making a total of 6 stages. Here's a clear explanation of each stage, including key concepts, important details, and examples to illustrate the topic. Key concepts. 1. Moral development. Kohlberg's theory suggests that moral reasoning develops in stages as individuals mature. Each stage represents a different level of understanding of morality. 2. Stages within levels. Pre-conventional level, conventional level, post-conventional level. Detailed breakdown of each stage. 1. Pre-conventional level. Stage 1. Obedience and punishment orientation. Characteristics. In this stage, decisions are made based on avoiding punishment. Individuals obey rules to avoid negative consequences rather than understanding why the rules exist. Example: a child may not steal a cookie because they fear being scolded by their parents. They see the act of stealing as wrong only because of the punishment that follows. Stage 2. Individualism and exchange. Characteristics. Here, individuals recognize that others have their own interests. They make decisions based on what's in it for them, understanding that there can be multiple viewpoints. Example: a child might help another child with homework because they expect a favor in return later. The focus is on personal gain rather than moral duty. 2. Conventional level. Stage 3. Good interpersonal relationships. Characteristics. At this stage, individuals focus on pleasing others and gaining approval. They consider how their actions affect relationships with friends and family. Example: a teenager might decide to tell the truth on a test because they want to be seen as honest and gain their teacher's approval. The motivation is based on maintaining positive relations. Stage 4. Maintaining social order. Characteristics. Individuals recognize the importance of maintaining law and order. They believe that following the rules is necessary for society to function. Example: an adult may not speed while driving because they respect traffic laws and recognize that laws are necessary for everyone's safety and well-being. 3. Post-conventional level. Stage 5. Social contract and individual rights. Characteristics. At this stage, individuals see laws as social contracts that should benefit society as a whole. They believe in individual rights and the importance of upholding democratic principles. Example: a person might advocate for changes in laws that they believe are unjust, such as laws that discriminate against certain groups. They understand that laws can be changed for the greater good. Stage 6. Universal principles. Characteristics. This final stage involves following universal ethical principles and values, often based on justice, equality, and dignity for all people. Individuals act according to their conscience, even if it means going against the law. Example: a person might refuse to participate in an unjust war based on their belief in peace and human rights. They prioritize their ethical beliefs over legal consequences. Conclusion. In summary, Kohlberg's 6 stages of moral development illustrate how individuals evolve in their understanding of morality from simple obedience to complex ethical reasoning. The stages are categorized into 3 levels: pre-conventional, where decisions are based on personal consequences; conventional, where societal norms guide behavior, and post-conventional, where personal beliefs and universal principles inform moral choices. Understanding these stages is valuable for recognizing how people think about morality and make ethical decisions, which is especially helpful as you prepare for the CPC exam. Heinz Dilemma. The Heinz Dilemma is a famous moral dilemma presented by psychologist Lawrence Kohlberg as part of his research on moral development. It is a scenario that illustrates the complexities of ethical decision-making and is often used to understand how people reason about moral issues. Here's a breakdown of the scenario, key concepts, important details, and examples to help you understand the topic. Key concepts. Uno moral dilemma. A moral dilemma is a situation in which a person must choose between two conflicting moral principles or actions, often leading to a difficult decision. 2. Kohlberg stages of moral development. The Heinz Dilemma is used to assess which stage of moral reasoning a person is using. It helps determine if someone is thinking from a pre-conventional, conventional, or post-conventional perspective. The Heinz Dilemma scenario. The basic outline of the Heinz Dilemma is as follows. Scenario: a man named Heinz has a wife who is very sick and dying from a special type of cancer. There's a medication that could save her life, but it is extremely expensive. Heinz cannot afford the medication, and the druggist refuses to lower the price or let him pay in installments. Out of desperation, Heinz considers breaking into the pharmacy to steal the drug to save his wife. Important details. Uno moral choices. The dilemma poses a critical question. Should Heinz steal the medication to save his wife's life, or should he respect the law and not steal, even though it might lead to her death? Dos moral reasoning. People's responses to the dilemma can reflect different levels of moral reasoning. Pre-conventional. Focus on personal consequences, such as avoiding punishment or seeking rewards. Conventional. Emphasize societal norms and expectations, considering what is right to maintain order or gain approval. Post-conventional. Based on universal ethical principles, where moral reasoning is guided by justice and human rights. Examples of responses. 1. Pre-conventional perspective. Someone at the pre-conventional level might argue that Heinz should steal the drug, because if he gets caught, he could just say it was to save his wife's life, and he wouldn't want to live with the guilt of her dying for something he could have stopped. 2. Conventional perspective. A person reasoning at the conventional level might argue that Heinz should not steal the drug because stealing is against the law, and laws must be followed to maintain social order. They might emphasize that Heinz could try to appeal to the druggist's sense of compassion instead. 3. Post-conventional perspective. From a post-conventional viewpoint, one might argue that Heinz should steal the drug because the value of human life is greater than the law. They might believe that saving a life is a moral imperative, regardless of legal consequences, and that the law should be challenged if it is unjust. Conclusion. In summary, the Heinz Dilemma is a moral scenario used by Lawrence Kohlberg to explore how individuals make ethical decisions. It encompasses themes of moral dilemmas, individual rights, and societal laws. Responses to the dilemma can reveal a person's stage of moral development, reflecting their reasoning about right and wrong. Understanding the Heinz Dilemma is important for grasping how moral reasoning evolves and is particularly relevant for discussions in psychology and ethics as you prepare for the CPC exam. Punishment obedience orientation, naive hedonistic orientation, good boy good girl orientation, authority law order orientation, social contract democratic orientation, universal ethical principles. Let's break down the concepts of punishment obedience orientation, naive hedonistic orientation, good boy good girl orientation, authority law order orientation, social contract democratic orientation, and universal ethical principles. These terms come from Lawrence Kohlberg's stages of moral development and reflect how people make moral decisions as they grow. Each orientation represents a different level of moral reasoning. Here's a simple explanation with examples. Key concepts. 1. Moral development. Kohlberg proposed that moral reasoning develops through a series of stages, each reflecting a different way of thinking about morality. 2. Stages and orientations. Each of the orientations listed corresponds to specific stages in Kohlberg's theory of moral development, progressing from basic rules and consequences to more abstract ethical principles. Detailed breakdown of each orientation. 1. Punishment obedience orientation. Characteristics. Individuals at this stage follow rules to avoid punishment. They see the world in black and white terms, focusing on direct consequences for their actions. Example: a child refrains from stealing a cookie because they fear being punished by a parent. They only think about the immediate consequence of getting in trouble. 2. Naive hedonistic orientation. Characteristics. This stage emphasizes self-interest and the pursuit of personal pleasure. Individuals make decisions based on what will benefit them the most. Example: a teenager might cheat on a test because they think it will help them pass and avoid negative consequences, like failing the class. They justify their action based on achieving a personal reward. 3. Good boy, good girl orientation. Characteristics. At this stage, individuals want to gain approval from others and maintain good relationships. Their moral reasoning is influenced by how actions affect their reputation and relationships with peers and authority figures. Example: a student may volunteer for a community service project to be seen as a good person by friends, family, and teachers, rather than just for the sake of helping others. They value social approval over strict adherence to rules. 4. Authority law order orientation. Characteristics. Individuals in this stage recognize the importance of maintaining social order. They follow laws and rules because they believe that obeying them is essential for society to function well. Example: an adult drives within the speed limit because they respect traffic laws, understanding that these laws are necessary for everyone's safety and maintaining order on the roads. 5. Social contract democratic orientation. Characteristics. At this stage, individuals understand that laws are social contracts that should benefit the greatest number of people. They believe laws can be changed through democratic processes when they are unfair or unjust. Example: a person advocates for changes in laws that discriminate against a certain group of people. They believe that laws should reflect the will and rights of the majority, but also protect minority rights. 6. Universales y que príncipes. Characteristics. This highest stage involves adherence to universal ethical principles such as justice, equality, and human rights. Individuals at this level base their decisions on what they believe is right, even if it means going against the law. Example: an activist refuses to participate in an unjust law, like segregation, and fights for civil rights, believing that moral principles of equality and justice outweigh any legal restrictions. Conclusion. In summary, the orientations of punishment obedience, naive hedonistic, good boy good girl, authority law order, social contract democratic, and universal ethical principles are part of Kohlberg's stages of moral development. They illustrate how individuals progress in their moral reasoning from simple obedience to complex ethical considerations. This framework helps us understand how people make moral choices and the factors that influence their decisions. Understanding these orientations is valuable for your preparation for the CPC exam, as it provides insights into moral psychology and ethical reasoning. Vygotsky's development theory. Zone of proximal development. The zone of proximal development is a key concept in education and developmental psychology introduced by Lev Vygotsky, a Russian psychologist. It represents the difference between what a learner can do independently and what they can do with help. Understanding the ZPED can help educators and parents support children's learning more effectively. Here's a simple explanation of the concept, its key components, important details, and examples. Key concepts. 1. Definition of ZPED. Zone of proximal development. This is the range of tasks that a learner can perform with the help of a more knowledgeable person, but cannot yet accomplish independently. It emphasizes the importance of social interaction in the learning process. 2. Scaffolding. Scaffolding. This refers to the support provided by a teacher or more knowledgeable peer that helps a learner accomplish tasks within their ZPED. As learners become more competent, the support is gradually removed, allowing them to perform tasks independently. Important details. 1. Learning process. The ZPED highlights that effective learning occurs when challenges are slightly beyond a learner's current abilities. This encourages growth and understanding while still being manageable with support. 2. Social interaction. Vygotsky emphasized that social interaction is crucial for cognitive development. Collaboration with others allows learners to acquire new skills and knowledge more effectively. 3. Application in education. Teachers can assess a student's ZPED by observing their independent abilities and determining where additional support can help them progress. This approach encourages tailored instruction to meet each student's needs. Examples illustrating ZPED. 1. Example in mathematics. Scenario: a student can solve basic addition problems independently, but struggles with addition involving two-digit numbers. ZPED: a teacher may work with the student to solve two-digit addition problems step by step, providing explanations and strategies. The student learns how to approach these problems with the teacher's guidance, eventually gaining the confidence and skills to solve similar problems independently. 2. Example in reading. Scenario: a child can read simple books on their own, but finds more complex text challenging. ZPED: a parent reads a slightly more difficult book with a child, discussing the story and helping with unfamiliar words. This collaborative reading allows the child to engage with the text and improve their reading skills in a supportive environment. 3. Example in language learning. Scenario: a student knows basic vocabulary in a new language but cannot hold a conversation. ZPED: a language tutor works with the student on phrases and conversation skills, providing prompts and corrections. As the student practices speaking with support, they gradually become more fluent and confident in their conversational abilities. Conclusion. In summary, the zone of proximal development is a crucial concept that emphasizes the importance of social interaction and learning. It defines the range of tasks that a learner can perform with support, but not yet independently. By understanding the ZPED, educators and parents can provide effective scaffolding, helping learners develop new skills and knowledge gradually. This approach not only enhances learning, but also ensures that each individual's unique capabilities are nurtured. Understanding the ZPED will be valuable as you prepare for the CPC exam and explore the principles of effective teaching and learning strategies. Educational intervention refers to specific strategies, programs, or actions implemented to improve students' learning outcomes and address their unique needs. These interventions can be applied in various educational contexts to help students who may be struggling or to enhance learning for all students. Here's a simple explanation of educational intervention, including key concepts, important details, and examples. Key concepts. 1. Definition of educational intervention. Educational intervention. This is a systematic approach designed to help students improve their academic performance or social skills. It can involve a variety of methods, such as targeted teaching practices, tutoring, personalized learning plans, or behavioral support. 2. Types of interventions. Academic interventions. Strategies focused on improving students' learning in subjects like reading, math, or science. Behavioral interventions. Strategies aimed at changing negative behaviors and promoting positive conduct in the classroom or school setting. Social-emotional interventions. Approaches that help students develop skills like self-regulation, empathy, and interpersonal communication. Important details. 1. Purpose of interventions. Educational interventions are designed to identify student needs early and provide support before issues escalate. This proactive approach can help enhance learning, prevent future difficulties, and ensure that all students have equitable access to education. 2. Data-driven decisions. Effective educational interventions are often based on data collected from assessments, observations, and student performance. This information helps educators identify which students need support and what type of intervention will be most effective. 3. Collaboration. Successful educational interventions usually involve collaboration among teachers, parents, specialists, and sometimes the students themselves. Input from multiple sources can help create tailored interventions that meet the specific needs of each learner. Exemple illustratif éducationnel intervention. 1. Example of academic intervention. Scenario: a middle school student struggles with reading comprehension. Intervention: the school identifies this need and implements a reading intervention program. This might involve small group sessions with a reading specialist who uses specific strategies, like guided reading, to help the student improve their skills. They might also use tools like graphic organizers to aid understanding. 2. Example of behavioral intervention. Scenario: a student frequently disrupts the class and struggles to focus. Intervention: the school implements a behavioral intervention plan that includes positive reinforcement for good behavior, regular check-ins with a school counselor, and specific rules for how to manage classroom conduct. The goal is to teach the student how to behave appropriately and remain engaged. 3. Example of social-emotional intervention. Scenario: a student shows signs of anxiety and has difficulty participating in class. Intervention: a school might initiate a social-emotional learning program that includes lessons on coping strategies, emotional regulation, and building relationships. The student may receive individual counseling to develop confidence and tools to manage their anxiety. Conclusion. In summary, educational intervention refers to targeted strategies meant to improve student learning and address unique challenges in an educational setting. These interventions can take various forms: academic, behavioral, or social-emotional, and are crucial for providing support to students who need it most. By using data to inform decisions and collaborating with educators, parents, and the students themselves, schools can implement effective interventions that foster growth and success. Understanding educational intervention is essential as you prepare for the CPC exam, as it provides insights into how to create supportive and effective learning environments. Attachment theories. Bonding and attachment. Bonding and attachment refer to the emotional connections and relationships that develop between individuals, particularly between caregivers and children. Understanding these concepts is vital in psychology and child development, as they significantly impact a person's emotional and social growth. Here's a breakdown of bonding and attachment, including key concepts, important details, and examples. Key concepts. 1. Bonding. Definition. Bonding is the process where a caregiver develops a strong emotional connection with their child or dependent. This often occurs shortly after birth and involves physical closeness, affection, and consistent care. Importance. Bonding is crucial for a child's sense of security and comfort. It helps establish the foundation for future relationships and emotional well-being. 2. Attachment. Definition. Attachment is a deeper emotional connection that develops over time between a parent and a child. It involves the child's feelings of safety and security when interacting with their caregiver. Importance. Attachment shapes a child's social and emotional development. Secure attachment can lead to healthier relationships and emotional regulation in the future. Important details. 1. Types of attachment. Secure attachment. This occurs when a caregiver consistently responds to a child's needs, creating a sense of safety. Children with secure attachments feel comfortable exploring their environment and can seek comfort from their caregiver when needed. Insecure attachment. This can be further divided into avoidant attachment. The child may avoid or ignore the caregiver, showing less emotional connection. This can happen if the caregiver is unresponsive to the child's needs. Anxious attachment. The child becomes clingy and overly dependent, showing anxiety when separated from the caregiver. This often occurs when the caregiver's responses are inconsistent. Disorganized attachment. This type is characterized by a lack of clear attachment behavior. Children may exhibit confused or contradictory behaviors, often stemming from frightening or chaotic caregiver interactions. 2. Factors influencing bonding and attachment. Consistency. Caregivers who respond consistently to a child's needs foster deeper bonding and attachment. Physical touch. Holding, cuddling, and affectionate physical contact strengthen the emotional connection. Emotional availability. Caregivers who are emotionally present and engaged foster secure attachments. This means responding not just to physical needs, but also to emotional cues. 3. Impact of attachment on development. A strong attachment during early childhood can lead to better social skills, emotional regulation, and resilience. Conversely, insecure or disrupted attachment can contribute to challenges such as anxiety, depression, and difficulties in relationships later in life. Examples illustrating bonding and attachment. 1. Example of bonding. Scenario. After the birth of a baby, the mother holds her newborn close, talks softly, and responds to the baby's cries quickly with comfort and warmth. Explanation. This nurturing behavior strengthens the bond between the mother and the baby, laying the foundation for a secure attachment. 2. Example of secure attachment. Scenario: a toddler plays happily in a playground, often looking back at their parent. When they fall or feel scared, they run to the parent for comfort and reassurance. Explanation: the child feels safe exploring their environment because of the secure attachment formed through consistent caregiving. 3. Example of insecure attachment. Scenario: a child often appears indifferent when their caregiver leaves or returns. They do not seek comfort during distress and may even push the caregiver away. Explanation: this behavior can indicate avoidant attachment, stemming from inconsistent caregiving where the child learned that seeking help may not yield comfort. Conclusion. In summary, bonding and attachment are foundational concepts in understanding emotional and social development. Bonding refers to the initial emotional connection between a caregiver and child, while attachment describes the deeper emotional bond that develops over time. Understanding these concepts is crucial for recognizing how early relationships impact a child's future social and emotional well-being. As you prepare for the CPC exam, grasping these ideas will help you appreciate the importance of nurturing relationships in development and mental health. Object loss. Object loss refers to the emotional and psychological impact a person experiences when they lose someone or something significant in their life. This concept is particularly important in psychology and counseling, as it can affect a person's mental health and overall well-being. Let's break down object loss, including key concepts, important details, and examples to help you understand this topic better. Key concepts. 1. Definition of object loss. Object loss. This term describes the experience of losing an important person, object, or even a pet that holds emotional significance to an individual. It reflects the deep bond we have with certain people or things in our lives. 2. Types of object loss. Loss of loved ones. This includes losing family members, friends, or partners through death, separation, or divorce. Loss of belongings. This can refer to losing meaningful possessions, such as a favorite toy, heirloom, or any object that carries sentimental value. Loss of opportunities. Sometimes, the term can also refer to missing out on important life events, such as job opportunities or significant experiences, which can feel like a form of loss. Important details. 1. Emotional responses. Object loss can lead to a variety of emotional responses, including sadness, grief, anger, confusion, or even relief, depending on the nature of the loss. These responses are a normal part of the grieving process. 2. Grieving process. The process of coping with object loss is often described as grieving, which can unfold in stages. Common stages of grief include denial, refusing to accept the reality of the loss; anger, feeling upset or frustrated over the loss; bargaining, trying to negotiate for a different outcome or wishing to change the situation; depression, feeling deep sadness and reflecting on the loss; acceptance, coming to terms with the loss and finding a way to move forward. 3. Impact on mental health. Object loss can influence an individual's mental health, potentially leading to feelings of anxiety, depression, or isolation. Some individuals may require additional support or counseling to process their feelings and cope with the loss effectively. Examples illustrating object loss. 1. Example of loss of a loved one. Scenario: a teenager loses a parent due to illness. Explanation: the teenager may experience intense grief, feeling a range of emotions from sadness to anger. They might struggle with the absence of their parent in daily life, impacting their social interactions, academic performance, and overall mental health. 2. Example of loss of belongings. Scenario: a child loses their favorite stuffed animal that they have had since they were a baby. Explanation: the child may feel a profound sense of sadness and anxiety over the loss of their cherished toy. It may symbolize comfort and safety, so its absence can create emotional distress for the child. 3. Example of loss of opportunities. Scenario: an aspiring athlete suffers a serious injury, preventing them from competing in a significant sports tournament. Explanation: the athlete may feel disappointed and frustrated. They might grieve the loss of opportunities that could have elevated their sports career, leading to feelings of isolation from their teammates. Conclusion. In summary, object loss refers to the emotional impact of losing something or someone important in a person's life. It encompasses a range of experiences, including loss of loved ones, meaningful belongings, and missed opportunities. The emotions surrounding object loss can vary widely and may require a grieving process. Understanding this concept is crucial for recognizing the importance of emotional support in coping with loss, which is particularly relevant as you prepare for the CPC exam and consider the impact of loss on mental health and emotional well-being. Maternal deprivation. Maternal deprivation is a concept in psychology that refers to the negative emotional and developmental effects that can occur when a child is separated from their mother or primary caregiver. This theory was popularized by psychologist John Bowlby, who emphasized the importance of a secure attachment between a mother and child for healthy psychological development. Here's a breakdown of maternal deprivation, including key concepts, important details, and examples to help you understand it better. Key concepts. 1. Definition of maternal deprivation. Maternal deprivation. This term refers to the separation or loss of a mother during the early formative years of a child's life, which can lead to emotional and developmental problems. 2. Attachment theory. John Bowlby proposed that children form strong attachments to their primary caregivers, which are essential for their emotional security and development. If this bond is disrupted, it can lead to maternal deprivation. Important details. 1. Effects of maternal deprivation. Bowlby identified several potential effects of maternal deprivation on children, including emotional distress.